All right. It appears as though I am live. If you could hear me, all right. Awesome. If you can't, let me know, and I will try and fix any technical issues that I'm having. The internet service where I live is not so great. So I'm a little worried about that lately, but we're going to do our best with what we got. So anyway, it's been a while, and there are all sorts of stories that kind of piled up over the past couple weeks, and I figured I would just sort of run through all sorts of stories. Eric is here, thanks for tuning in. Rob is here, thanks for tuning in, appreciate it. Gonna go through crime in Austin, New York City cutting overtime pay, scientists growing human-like embryos without sperm and eggs, New York City schools dropping math from their math and science exploratory schools, Elon Musk being demonized by the press because he sets boundaries with his own technology and doesn't just write people a blank check to do whatever they want with it, the New Mexico governor and all the gun stuff. And we could talk about some iconic comic stuff. There's some good news on that front. And yeah, we'll just go with wherever. Philip Cummings says dogs and cats living together, pandemonium. So yeah, pretty much. I guess we'll start off real quick with congratulations to Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini for another successful campaign fulfillment and distribution. And it looks like, I know they still have stuff to go with Common America Volume 8, but it looks like, according to Tim, they are on track for on-time delivery heading into October. And you can see that the hardworking elves at Iconic Comics down in Texas are busy doing their thing, getting all sorts of orders out. If I'm not mistaken, Tim was saying there's something like 250 possible combinations with all the merchandise that was offered this time around. So there's all sorts of combos that could have been had, and they got to figure out how to pack those properly and get them out to people and figure out how to do that in an efficient way. And the guys and gals down in Texas at Iconic Comics are excellent at that. And I am so thankful that when it comes to orders, they do all of the heavy lifting with that. I will here and there do some people contact me randomly and want to go directly through me. So yesterday I sent a package to somebody's relative who is then going to fly to the Philippines and bring them all the books and the rosaries. So I will do little orders here and there for people that specifically ask me. They just want to deal through me. That's fine. That's cool. Especially the overseas stuff to the Philippines. And yeah, it was very interesting yesterday. So I don't think he would mind me saying this. I got the order that was going to go to the Philippines, and then Wes from Thinking Critical also shot me a message saying, hey, how's it going? All this sort of stuff. So I thought it was very interesting on the very same day. It was the Philippines connection. Whenever stuff like that happens, I'm just like, what are the chances that something like that would happen? You would have somebody in the Philippines, and we'll just say the area where this person was located was very close to where Wes and I met up years ago. And then Wes would also like DM me. And so it was one of those situations where it was just like, wow, that was like so weird that everything just came together, and like two people from this part of the world are simultaneously contacting me and, you know, saying like, hey, good job on the Soul Finder and all of that. So very interesting. I don't believe in coincidence. There's lessons to be learned in all of these sorts of things. Captain Cummings, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. So all right, Tim, Mark, congratulations. I know Tim is already well underway with Common America Volume 9, and that will be coming out next year, early next year, if I'm not mistaken. So those guys are rolling along, and I really appreciate them for numerous reasons. But I've said before that every single time that they put out these books, people wander around to the Iconic Comics website, and a certain percentage of them buy these Soul Finder books. And then a certain percentage of those people will continue to buy the books. And they'll say, like, hey, I got into this because of Common America. I got into this because of Black Hops and Tim and Mark. And it's different. It's a different style. It's a different doodad, but I'm digging it and I'm here. So, yeah, I can't thank Tim and Mark enough. I guess I'll continue on before we get into the new stuff with some comicsy things. So, all right, here's the thing. I don't really know anything about this dude other than he's on he does Kickstarters and crowdfunders, and I don't know too much about him. Writer, publisher, father. Good on you for being a father. One of these things is harder than the others. He, him. Okay. Well, I don't know this guy. Don't contact this guy. But somebody sent this to me today. It was all about crowdfunding and how to do a good job with crowdfunding and all this sort of stuff. Fine. But this actually struck me. You want to know why I try my best to stay away from crowdfunding? Tim and Mark, God bless Tim and Mark. They like crowdfunding. They do their thing. Great. Great on them. But comments like this are why I am trying. I don't like to do crowdfunding, because every time you do crowdfunding, you start having to interact. You're like, it's like bumper cars. You're in the arena, and eventually, whether you want to or not, you're going to bump into somebody who says stuff like this. All right. This is not the direct market. We are not competing for shelf space here. Kickstarter is an ecosystem. Be a part of that. Lift others up. All right. This is where we're getting into the weirdness. It always gets weird. Quote, don't expect the community to support you if you haven't supported the community. I've backed almost 900 books. Invest in others. Okay, so me personally, I don't have the patience to deal with other creators that are demanding that I gotta support the community to the tune of hundreds or 900, 1,000 books if I want the community support. All these other creators out there, they're doing their thing, but they expect you to just start being their marketing guy. And you got to do the heavy lifting for them in terms of getting the book out and this and that. They're saying that their success is dependent on total strangers. And even if I don't like the genre that they're exploring, that's their thing. Even if I don't like the kind of material that they're pushing, what if the material that they're pushing is completely anathema to my worldview, to my values, to my principles? But you're saying just because you're a creator, I gotta support the community? I got to support this guy? I got to start telling people to buy his book? I don't even know anything about the book. I don't know. Has he delivered the product before? Do people like it? Is he a first-time creator? Who is this? Like, I back things that I like, and that's what I back. I don't like to have people twisting my arm to support stuff. It's this transactional relationship thing that so many creators in the crowdfunding sphere expect of you. And if you don't do it, then they get really upset. And they're like, you don't help the community, so we're not going to help you. How do you like that, Doug? And it's like, I literally don't care, because my blueprint for doing my thing is to cultivate a reader base. People that like Soul Finder. That was the idea. The idea wasn't to have to be going to people hat in hand, like, hey, I'm part of the community. and you're part of the community. Do you want to support me? And if you don't invest in me, I'm not investing in you. Woo, 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 woo. If you want to know why a lot of creators don't like me, this is why. Because I literally laugh at them over the course of years when they come at me and they're like, hey, I supported Soul Finder. What are you gonna do for me, buddy? Well, we're not buddies. We never were. You just showed up out of the blue and we're like, I supported your book. Are you gonna support my book? No, I'm not going to, because I don't like books about underwater basket weaving. Okay? So I'm not going to support the book about underwater basket weaving. And if you don't like that, I'm sorry. I didn't tell you to buy, well, I told people that want to buy Soul Finder to buy my book, but I didn't tell you to buy my book because I'm part of the community. And if you don't support me, then I'm not going to support you. And in fact, I might actively tell people not to support you because you don't support the other creators. So, yeah, this sort of stuff gets me riled up. So, because for years, people don't understand. You do not understand the level, the pressure over the course of time. It's a regular thing with people that will come to you and they'll be like, it's always just like, hey, look what I did for you. And you're like, what? I just wrote a book and I told people if they want this book, if they want to read about combat veteran exorcists and they want to read a book with solid storytelling and cool art by Matt Weldon in it, or Timothy Lim, or Eric Canetti on the upcoming Noctis Terrari thing, I told them, if that's your thing, go for it. If it's not, then hey, then don't. So this is why JJ is talking about people that are going to get upset about, hey, but those guys aren't on Kickstarter. So I'm talking about Kickstarter. So no, but I don't care. I honestly, it's like, I'm allowed to, that's the other thing. It's like, you're not allowed to have an opinion. I'm telling people up front, I can't deal with this sort of stuff. And that's why I just literally put my book on the Iconic Comics website. It's like, hey, you want a good book? You want a solid storytelling? You want to read about Father Redder and his adventures with his friends, Father Crane and Detective Chua, as they take on the supernatural, as they take on evil? Combat veteran exorcist, boom, there you go. It's there. It's right there for you. But guess what? If you got a book on underwater basket weaving, I don't care. Good. I mean, I care in the sense that I want you to succeed. If that's your dream, is you want underwater basket weaving on the big screen, on the silver screen one day, or you just are convinced that that's what thousands and tens of thousands of people are going to want, the superhero that weaves baskets, okay. But don't come up to me and be like, I bought Soul Finder, so you better buy Super Basket Weaver. It's not happening. It's not happening. JJ, Kickstarter is bad until it's not. No consistency. Again, I've never had a problem with people on Indiegogo, Kickstarter, any crowdfunders or whatnot. But my thing is, yeah, it's always been with the creators they come to you in various ways from various angles, and they're like, hey, I did this for you. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Nah, dude, I didn't ask you to scratch my back, okay? I asked you to buy a book if you were into the book. That's what I asked. I didn't ask to be, I'm not a professional back scratcher. It's not happening. Edwin, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. So anyway, I got it. I had to get that off my chest. So people send me stories and all sorts of stuff. And most of the time I don't comment these days. I'm just like, hey, I'm not. Hey, but I mean, I can't stand this. Oh, don't expect the community to support you if you haven't supported the community. Hey, newsflash for you, brother. I don't need your support if that's the kind of guy that I don't want your support. I want the support of people that want to read Soul Finder and that they like my storytelling and they want to continue to see where the series goes. That's who I care about. I'm not cultivating I'm not a bunch of transactional relationship things with other creators. I'm trying to cultivate my own reader base. That's what I'm doing. And I know that rubs a lot of people the wrong way, that to say, I don't care about being a back scratcher, but I'm not a back scratcher. So you come to the wrong place if you want me to support the community. What? Sorry, dude. I support the books that I want to support. And I support books like Common America. I've supported Common America and Black Ops since day one. I got all the books before Tim and I were really close on both a friendship level with Tim and Mark and a professional level where we're literally like going around the country to different shows and stuff. I was supporting Timothy Lim's books. Why? Because I'm like, hey, this guy, he looks like he's going places. He looks like he is a guy who he knows what he's doing. This is a guy with talent. You watch this guy. He's got the goods. He's both in terms of his character and in terms of his talent. That's a rare combo right there. And so you watch this guy. So I support Tim and Mark. I support Eric Canetti. I support Alejandro Mirabal. I support Matt Weldon and Bill Williams. And it's weird. There's a gravitational pull to certain creators who have certain mindsets. It's like if you have a certain vision of something, it's almost like attracts like. One of these sorts of things, like, hey, there's a bunch of guys that they're like, hey, I'm going to just back the things that I like, and I'm not going to let you sort of, put a metaphorical gun to my back and tell me to do stuff for you. I'm not going to do that. So Neostar Productions, thanks for tuning in. Mr. RPX, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, says, I thought you were making comics, not trying to start. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, there's no I'm not into the mafia tactics sort of thing where it's like, hey, you want to be a part of the community? You got to give up a little something. No, I don't. No. You want protection from the community? Hey, we got the protection for you. I don't need your protection. How do you like that? How do you like them apples? I don't need your protection. I don't need it. Hey. So, anyway. All right. So, got that off my chest this morning. When I saw that this morning, I was like, oh, man. That is, boom, totally emblematic of all the stuff over the course of years that's just like annoyed the crap out of me. Because, you don't understand. People will privately try and twist your arm to get you to buy their stuff. And you're like, this is weird. No, this is freaking weird. I don't like this at all. Leave the gun and take the cannolis. Philip Cummings. So, yeah. All right. Is there anything else comics related? I want to talk about this real quick. Here we go. All right, talking about 9/11. Oh, here we go. Names have been changed to protect the innocent. Here's another thing. If you go on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it these days, you can find this. Names have been changed to protect the innocent. Now, this is Ralph. Ralph is on X. Ralph is on YouTube. You can find the YouTubes. You can find Ralph. Yeah, he's all over the place. Ralph, this is what I get, publicly and privately. I'm going to hold you accountable for what adults in their 40s and 50s and 60s say on Twitter. Me, that's dumb. That's immature, and that is dumb. Bye, Ralph. Ralph, glue is white, but when you poop, it's brown. So this is response to people that hold me accountable for what totally random people on Twitter say, or X, or like YouTube say in their comment section or whatever. They find somebody. See, they can't say anything about my feed. They can't say anything to sort of combat or like a retort to what I'm saying on my own YouTube channel, because I usually think pretty long and hard before I say something. If I say something, it's because I thought about it for a while, and I'm very careful with how I present my case on various issues. You might disagree with me, you might think I'm a jerk, but I thought long and hard about the things that I'm talking about. And so they can't play the gotcha game on Twitter. They go through my feed and they're like, Doug is he posts stuff about from Fulton Sheen. He posts stuff about 9/11. He posts food. He's eating alligator bites with his wife and chicken. I don't have anything. I can't. There's nothing to say. I can't get the guy on this. I hate this guy, but I want to say something about this guy. Okay, well, I'm gonna find Jeffro Shabadoo, and I'm gonna find just whatever, somebody on Twitter that is saying they like Iconic Comics, but they're criticizing me. So now I'm gonna be like, you know what? There was somebody, they were just like, those guys from my comics, they're in all these secret DM rooms and they're talking. I'm literally, for years, I literally haven't been in any DM rooms because I hate DM rooms. So when I see people on Twitter X, say like, they're in their DM rooms, they're in Discord. I haven't been on Discord in years. I was on Discord like a couple times because somebody invited me to talk about Soul Finder on Discord, and then I was never on Discord again. And then in terms of DM room, I literally haven't been in DM rooms in years because I don't like DM rooms. So then it's just like, oh, well, Doug's got a private opinion on something that I don't like. I know he does. Oh, so you're saying I'm not allowed to have a private opinion? I'm not allowed to privately disagree with somebody. Oh no. So that's the thing. So the rule is I'm not allowed to have a private opinion on anything to anybody. It's just, I'm just supposed to go along with whatever, with these people, these glue eaters on Twitter and YouTube. So, Doug, I know you're a good Catholic boy, but sometimes it's okay to invite them to eat the whole bag of boop. Yeah, I mean, this is me doing that right now, Edwin. Like, this is if I was, this is why I also don't drink, because if I was drinking, then it would take it to another level. So I try my best. The only time you'll see me drinking is if I'm like really close to somebody or I really trust them. Because I don't want my mouth to get me in trouble, because you get a sharp tongue sometimes or whatever. So yeah, Edwin is here. Speaking of people, I got Edwin's new book the other day. Edwin, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. So yeah, speaking of creators, I back whoever I want to back. So Edwin, the Ace Acevedo, is here. I backed his book recently. It came in the mail. It was perfect condition. Thank you very much, Edwin. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I received it, and I'm actually flying to a show next week. I might bring it on the flight with me, and that'll be some of my reading for the flight. I don't know, but I got your book. I appreciate it. Now, in full disclosure, hopefully, Edwin, you don't mind me saying this, I did not go to Fund My Comic to get Edwin's book. I went directly to Edwin and asked him, sort of like I was saying earlier in the stream, sometimes people will randomly come to me and be like, hey, can I just go directly through you instead of the Iconic Comics website? And I'm just like, yeah, no, that's no problem. I don't care, whatever. So I went directly to Edwin and I was like, hey, I know you're not on Indiegogo this time. Can I just go directly through you? And he was kind enough to allow me to do that. Now, I don't know if he would do that for other people or not, but I just want to be full disclosure here. So if you start asking me about Fund My Comic, I don't know about Fund My Comic. I went directly through Edwin. I got his book, and yeah, Edwin's always been a solid creator. He puts out stuff that I'm like, all right, that looks cool. I'll check it out. And Edwin's always been cool towards me, so I'm cool towards Edwin. And other people aren't so cool, and so therefore, Yeah. Those bridges have been burned. You can't burn bridges and then wonder why the bridge is burned, why you can't get over to the other side. I suppose you could rebuild it over time, but some bridges, you nuke that bridge, it's going to take a long time to rebuild it. But anyway, again, Edwin, thanks for being very cool towards me for years. I've said before, Edwin was the very first person to ever ask me to talk about Soul Finder with him when Soul Finder Demons match came out. And at the time, there were a lot of people who already in crowdfunding comics, they did not like me. And I knew that probably publicly and privately, Edwin was going to take heat for talking to me about Soul Finder. So there was a lot of people that were upset that I was doing Soul Finder with Timothy Lim. And they didn't want me to do Soul Finder with Tim. And they're like, Doug, if you do Soul Finder with Tim, you're not, you understand there's like, basically, I'm paraphrasing, there's going to be repercussions if you do a book with Timothy Lim. You're going to lose out on tens of thousands of dollars if you do a book with Timothy Lim. And then I was like, okay, I literally don't care. I don't care. So that's the other thing. We could go back into that's way back machine, but way back in the day, people were telling me, do not do a book. You probably don't want to do a book with Tim because, it's going to affect your standing within the community. It's going to affect your standing within the community if you do a book with the bunny, quote unquote, the bunny man. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do, you try and tell me what to do. A lot of times I'm going to do the exact opposite. If you tell me, do not talk to Timothy Lim, I'm going to talk to Timothy Lim. In fact, I'm going to go out of my way to talk to Tim, and I'm going to tell other people to buy Tim's books because you had the gall to try and tell me who, as an adult, who I should talk to and who I shouldn't, and all this sort of stuff. So, but that's getting into the Wayback Machine. RPX, who is going to tell a grown man who he can and can't talk? You would be surprised. Or maybe you wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of people that try and tell you who you can and cannot talk to. So, yeah. All right. So we talked about the glue eaters. And let's see. Let's go. We'll go back to the political stuff now. I will continue to try and monitor the chat. I got stuff to say in all these issues. Oh, random comic stuff. Speaking of dudes that have been very cool towards me, Brian from the Rags crew. He sent me some stuff from the Holy Land. He also sent some stuff to Timothy Lim. So I actually got to look into this. I don't know exactly because it says holy water, holy earth, holy oil, blah, blah. I don't know if it's just because it's from quote unquote the Holy Land that they're calling it holy water, because you can't sell holy water. I'm like 90 something % sure. Like you can't just be like, oh, I'm selling blah, 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 blah. There's all sorts of rules on stuff. So I'm just like, okay, well, it's from the Holy Land, but I'm pretty sure I still got to get this water blessed, because you can't start blessing stuff and then selling it. And so in my mind, regardless, it's still super, super kind that he was willing to buy something from the Holy Land and send all of this to me. So I'm going to go to Mass and I'm going to ask Father if he could bless this stuff for me, and then I'll have it to go. So let's see. Captain Cummings, from my understanding, you are not supposed to sell items. Yeah, like you can't. So I think they're just saying because it's from the Holy Land, they're calling it holy water or something along those lines. I got to look into it. Regardless, it's the thought that counts. So, or maybe there's some sort of weird, I don't know. I got to look into it. Regardless, Brian sent me this, and it was super cool, and I really appreciated it. And yeah, Neostar, man, it's been ages since I heard from Brian. So yeah, he's a busy man. We'll just put it that way. Timothy Lim, also Tim, he has a new hippo at his house, and he named it Douglas Ernst because I love hippos. Hippos rock. I've always liked hippos since I was a kid. Oh, finally, I guess we're going to continue on the comics for a little bit longer. So Soul Finder Volume 4 is coming along. It is being colored. I think I said this before. So when you have talented people on your team, sometimes elements of your team, there's people that are trying to get them on their projects. And long story short, the guy who did Volume 3 for us, he was essentially quote unquote poached. I know he could work for whomever he wants, but long story short, somebody else snatched him up to work on their stuff, and he was supposed to work on Soul Finder Volume 4. So then Matt and I had to be like, dude, what are we gonna do? We gotta make sure that the color work is still solid. And so it took a little while to make sure that we got a colorist that not only that we liked the colorist, but he was able to actually do the work that was required of him in the time frame that we needed him to do it at the price range that he wanted and all this sort of stuff. So it took a little while. We found a really awesome dude, and it is rolling along right now. And as soon as it's done, I will get it formatted. I will probably put it on Amazon Kindle first, like I did with Infinite Ascent. Then I will get the soft cover, like the floppy versions or whatever. I will get those done. Those will probably take a month and a half to get out. And then I will continue to work on the hardcover with Matt's black and the inks and all of that. But anyway, Soul Finder Volume 4, inspired by the Tunnel Rats, Vietnam Tunnel Rats, is moving along, and it is looking very good. I'm very, very, very happy with it. And I've RPX has poached. Yeah, I'm saying poached in the sense that someone snagged him. Not that like he was like exclusive to me as the colorist, but he was supposed to do Soul Finder Volume 4, and then he got other work offered to him that he was like, I gotta do this. And then he was not able to do Soul Finder Volume 4. I'm open to having him back in the future, but this whole rigmarole, it did cause some issues in terms of timelines had to shift. But yeah, I'm very happy with the color work on this, and I can't wait until you see it. Oh, and Soul Finder Volume 5, I am already getting artwork in. I don't think he would mind me saying this. Alejandro Mirabal did a pretty awesome piece for Soul Finder Volume 5. The script is all done. Matt should start penciling that in the very near future. So I already got Soul Finder Volume 5 stuff that's on the way as well. And Eric Canetti, who was here earlier, we're completely done with Soul Finder Noctis Terrari, the short story in terms of the color work. That is done. All of like the internal art is completely done. It's just being lettered. And then once that's lettered, I will get that printed. But I might hold off and wait to release it in tandem with Soul Finder Volume 4 because it's a short story. And I don't want to just release like a really short story by itself if I could avoid that. I mean, I like it. I think it's really good, but I just think it works as either an appetizer or a dessert to Soul Finder Volume 4. So it should be like a $1 add-on or like some like super, I don't want to say super cheap in that I'm like cheapening the value of it, but it's a short story. So I want it to just be like a little add-on to Volume 4, which is 72 pages. Anyway, it's coming along. It's looking really good. Did I already pass up the other artwork a while ago? Matt's inks on the F4 Phantoms. So yeah. All right. So my voice is actually, I might need some water here. I've been talking for a while, or maybe my voice is just weak. I don't know. So, all right. Let's see. I'll go to the political stuff. I got to hit the mute button for a second here. I got to get a drink of water. Something's going on. All right. So I should be back now. All right. Austin police ask robbery victims not to call 911 as crimes ravages city. So I'm going to kind of go through this. I'm going to try and hit a bunch of points. My voice gets raspy reading live for 3 hours. Yeah, no, Captain Cummings has been doing his Bible readings. If you're into that sort of thing, check him out. He also says the rosary. Neostar Productions, hey, nothing wrong with some short tales between adventures. Yeah, I did. There's certain things that I want to give a glimpse into Father Redder's life that it would just be shoehorning it into a regular story. It wouldn't make any sense. But as a short story, it's kind of cool. Paul's NYC. Hey, y'all. Hey, Doug. Just saw you are on live. Paul, thanks for tuning in, man. I really appreciate it. Neostar Productions. It's important to stay hydrated. Indubitably. All right. So, Austin. Let's talk about Austin. So here's the thing. This is where I'm getting into the cultural stuff. I'm going to try and handle it in a professional way. So if you don't like the political stuff, it's not for you. Whoop. Maybe you might want to step aside. So long story short, Austin, there is a specific ideology, whether it's Los Angeles, whether it's San Francisco, whether it's Chicago, whether it's Austin, all of these places, there's a common denominator, and it's an ideology that creates these sort of things. So they incentivize lawlessness. These are the same cities where if you look around, if you go to Twitter X, whatever it's called, you will see these are the places where Walgreens, CVS, Macy's, all of these places, you have people ransacking them. They just go in and a bunch of people, they're just stealing stuff off the shelves. And now you in San Francisco, you have Walgreens leaving, you have CVS leaving these places because they're constantly being robbed all the time. And the policies are like, there's no deterrent to theft whatsoever. So historically, criminals, they're stupid. And a lot of times they just think like, I'm just going to get away with it because they think they're smarter than they really are, or they're more wily or whatever. And they're just like, I'm going to get away with it. Never mind the fact there's cameras all over the place and they're at my like eye level. It's not like the old days where it's like sometimes you would just have them like you couldn't even see the guys. No, it's like right at your face. They got you on candid camera, dude. You're not going to get away. So in the past, you had people they would rob, but every once in a while you have those people that are on the fence and they're just like, I don't know. I can't risk it, man. I can't. Now there's zero risk to stealing in California. Basically, I forgot what it is. It's like if it's like less than $950, they're not going to do anything to you. So now you have people, they just literally show up with garbage bags and they start like putting all of the lotions and the potions and all of this stuff in their bag. And then they put it on their back like they're evil Santa Claus. And then they're like, boop, 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 and they just walk out. And they got their little evil elves. You know, I was joking around about the iconic comics elves. They're throwing down with the Keebler elves because, you know, Keebler versus iconic, they're both productive. Well, in California, in these cities, you have evil elves where they're like, we don't want to make anything. We just want to steal the things that other people make. So that's what we're going to do. And there's no risk. There's whatsoever. So they just do it. So they incentivize lawlessness. But in these places, they tell the citizens, we don't want you to arm yourselves. They have a thing against firearms. So they're like, don't arm yourselves. You got to call the cops. When seconds matter, they're minutes away. When seconds matter, maybe they're an hour away. I don't know. Do not arm yourself. In fact, we're going to go out of our way to make sure that you are not armed if possible. That gets into the New Mexico governor. But then when they do that, now in Austin, they're like, actually, we don't want you to arm yourselves, but also we don't want you to call 911 when you are being robbed. We can't help you. You're on your own. So they tell good citizens, don't call the cops. And then when you have these companies, whether it's Walgreens, whether it's CVS, whether it's Macy's, whatever it is, Nike, I saw that Nike was pulling out of Portland. I saw some story on that. So these companies leave And then they blame racism on that. But then the people that are left there continue to vote for these insane asylum type policies. Like the one flew over the cuckoo's nest. If you wanted insane people to come up with public policy, just look at San Francisco. Just look at Los Angeles. Just look at Austin. Just look at Chicago. Just look at Philadelphia. Just look at New York City. So New York City, we can go to that. Speaking of cops and crime and all of this, let me scroll back up. I'm bouncing around here, but let's find New York City. Well, actually speaking, we'll get back to the New York City crime. We'll go to New York. So now you have New York City. This is, again, emblematic of the type of people that you have in these cities that are left, because they have serious brain drain. Anybody with a few brain cells in their head and they have common sense, they're like, I got to get out of this place. This is crazy. The inmates are running the asylum. Or in this case, the Math and Science Exploratory School, which they want to change, and they want to drop math. It's just the exploratory school. That's what they want now. So what's happening in these places is the politicians are essentially idiots. And I'm not even trying to be mean. They're idiots. They are dumb people, but they're ideologues. And in a lot of these schools, educators in public schools in 2023, I'm sure there are good teachers, but a lot of times where you go if you are an idiot is the education system to become a teacher in 2023, because the only job qualification that you need in 2023 is to be an activist. And anybody can be an activist. It does not take a smart person to be. You can have an IQ of 90 and you can be led to be like, hey, we just want you to push whatever we tell you to push. Okay. Even if you're too dumb to even understand it, to critically think about this ideology, and you start like digging into like second and third and fourth order sort of ramifications for what happens when we implement these policies. If you're too dumb, it doesn't matter. We just need somebody to just push it. Just push it. Okay. So in these schools, the thing has been is that they have not been able to hit the high bars. So they're like, you know what? We cannot hit the high bars. But every time you lower the bar, we're always able to hit the new low. So therefore, we just want to lower the bar. We're just going to keep lowering it and lowering it and lowering it and lowering it and lowering it. And so what you have is, when you have stupid people who are ideologues that push bad policy, whether it's at the like level of the politicians or it's within the school system, you get big problems. And when you have big problems, oddly enough, the same people that created the problems are like, hey, we have big problems. That means you need big saviors. And who happens to be a savior? Us, the exact same people that created the problems for you to begin with. But if you have a dumb enough population, they don't know. All they know is, quote unquote, you hear politicians say this all the time. Actually, the New Mexico governor, do something. We need you to do something, because they're busy running their own lives. And again, if you had brain drain and all of the entrepreneurial people have left the city, all of the good citizens that want a strong civil society be like, I'm out of here. I'm going to Texas, but I'm not going to Austin. I'm going to Florida, but I'm not going to XYZ. Name the county or whatever it is that's controlled by these sorts of people. So you have like the mayor of New York City or whatever. Again, they create the crisis, and then they act all shocked that there is in fact a crisis, but hey, they got the answers for you. So New York City, they're cutting overtime pay. Why are they cutting overtime pay? Because they engineered a migrant crisis, because they said, we want to be a sanctuary city. If you come into the United States illegally, come to New York City, bro. We want you. But they didn't really mean it. because they didn't think that would act. They were like, no, what's that going to happen? Because the federal government has been busing and flying these people all over the place. What they do is they oftentimes they would fly them or they would bus them into areas that were like, hey, we want some semblance of control on the border. This is not, so all of the places where there's sanity, they were shipping these people. That's where they were. And then so the New York Cities of the world and these politicians, they got the benefit of acting like they're all altruistic and be like, we love the migrants. We want the migrants here. Please come here. But they didn't mean it. They just wanted the points for, the I'm special points for saying like the good thing. We care. Everything is under the guise of loving and caring for poor people when they don't actually have to deal with poor people. So then when they started, the states were like, you know what? You said you wanted to be a sanctuary. Here you go. They start shoving them to New York City. Now New York City is like, uh-oh. And the mayor said, like, this is literally, it's the end of New York City as you've known it. It's going to completely culturally transform the city because you don't even just have people coming from Mexico. Now you have people from China. You have people from all sorts of other places in South America. You have people from the Middle East. They're like, oh, if the start of the bus stop, the hub where we want to like then go to the United States is Mexico. So we're going to go to Mexico. Then we're going to Russia, all these places. They're going down to Mexico and then they're coming through the border and then they're going. So this is all engineered. Very interesting. And then, of course, again, these same people, they are your saviors. They created the problem, and now they are the saviors. So RPX, I can't really call them stupid. It's like saying a banker is stupid because he lost $1 million that magically found its way into one of his accounts in a different bank. Some of them are highly intelligent, but a lot of them actually are. They are stupid. And if you want to see stupid, I would just look at the New Mexico governor and look at the glue eaters. The New Mexico governor, when she speaks, she is stupid.
Of New Mexico and the Constitution of the United States, and you're an attorney. Do you think you're on solid constitutional ground here?
Well, we're going to see. I mean, look, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think I had the right. I have the right.
Where is
This is a stupid woman. She is stupid. If you know that you've done something that is unconstitutional, and you know that at some point in time people are going to ask you about it, and your answer is, well, we're going to see. I wouldn't do it if I didn't believe that I had the right. But you can't even articulate the reason why you believe. You're just like, I don't know, but I believe I am. You are a dumb woman because you're not even manipulative enough to put forth a case where other people who are inclined to agree with you would be like, yeah, that's actually a really good case. And in fact, I'm totally about this. It is unconstitutional, but it is paradoxically constitutional because the Constitution, blah, 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 whatever. Like we can't, the quote unquote emergency is so bad in New Mexico that the U.S. Constitution would essentially be a suicide pact at this point in time. That's not stupid. She's testing the waters to see if she could get away with it. She is testing the waters, but she is also stupid. So she's smart enough to know. I shouldn't say she's stupid like she's got an IQ of like 75. She's stupid in the sense that she has a below. Her IQ is in the double digits. It's not over 100. Her IQ is like 95 or 100 or something like that. So she's smart enough to function within a society where it rewards ideologues, but she's not smart in the sense that she can articulate what she's doing in a way, the quote unquote testing the waters, in a way where it would convince other people that this is the way to go and that she's right. In fact, she's so dumb that she's being called out on CNN and she's being called out by her own AG and she's being called out by top level Democrats who are like, oh crap, what is she doing? Like, literally, what are you doing? We have to nip this in the butt. Like the David Hoggs of the world and these guys, these activists, they're like, no, we don't agree with her. We don't agree with her because she made the mistake of telling everybody what they believe. But then she can't articulate why she's doing what she's doing. So she like touched the fifth rail or whatever, the fourth rail. She electrocuted herself, but she's then electrocuting the party. And they're like, if you were going to do this, you needed to do it in a way where it didn't make all of us look bad, because now she's going to become the face of the party. But millions upon millions of moderates are just like, whoa, this is weird. So law enforcement needs to slap the cuffs on her, throw her in real hardcore jail. Yeah, so that's the thing with the New Mexico governor, is that she's got a God complex. She clearly has a God complex. She was like, I am willing to do anything. Literally, she said anything to stop this quote unquote emergency. Well, if you're willing to suspend the Constitution for whatever, the caprices, whatever is on your mind that day that you want to do, you're telling everybody, you're literally telling them that you are a tyrant. There's almost like, short of her saying, I am a tyrant, like this is the closest thing you can get to someone saying like, yeah, I'm totally a tyrant. And I'm just going to do whatever I want. And she said in one of her earlier videos, she was like, I have to do something. If you see someone and the only thing they could say is do something, but there's no like thought about, well, what is that? Like, you're totally discounting the fact that doing something means it could make the situation worse. And sometimes it's actually the right thing to do nothing and let things play out or whatnot. So if you're just like, I have to do something. It's like, no, if you have a grease fire, you don't want to just throw water on the grease fire because it's going to spray it all over the place. You might want to use baking soda on the grease fire. But an idiot would be like, I have to do something. And then they just like throw water over the grease fire. And then the entire kitchen is on fire and the entire house burns down. So yeah. So hopefully I was nuanced enough that in the fact that she's smart enough to function in her quote unquote community of ideologues, but she is on the low end of the spectrum in terms of intelligence, because there are highly intelligent people that are of her mold, and they are capable of high levels of evil, but she's just kind of stupid. So yeah, it's blowing up in her face, which is good. I'm very glad that this is blowing up in her face. But she needs to be forced out. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Do we want to go to where is the scientist doodatter thing? There's a story on scientists I wanted to bring up. This is 9/11. Hello. This is the one where the scientists made the embryo that was sort of kind of human-like, but not human-like. Where is it? There's a Matt Weldon art right there. Some inks. This is already colored. I haven't shared that yet, but it's looking pretty nice. Oh my goodness. It's like one short story. Where is it? Went into the weekend. All right, rags. I might have to like just drop this story if I can't find it. Just like disappeared. Oh, okay. No. All right. Well, I'll just talk about it if I can't find it. Oh, that's why. It's because I'm not even on my own timeline again. All right. So I should be able to find this now. Here we go. Oh, we'll talk about, speaking of weirdo politicians. So there's this woman who is running she wants to be the state representative in Virginia. And This headline is so she was doing all sorts of explicit cam stuff. That's the nicest way that I could put it. A Virginian election candidate responds after leaked tapes show her performing sex acts with her husband. So let's break down why this is actually highly deceptive and, again, emblematic of media bias. So it says that they were leaked tapes. These tapes of this particular woman were on a website where thousands of people can go. And if you essentially pay the woman or whoever it is in quote unquote tokens, she will perform whatever the heck that you want her to perform if you give her enough money. So it wasn't like somebody broke into her home and they found it in the drawer, in the bedroom drawer. There was, an old VHS tape or something like that. And they grabbed it and then they found it. Or, they broke into the home and they took the laptop. And on the laptop, this woman's, Susanna Gibson and her husband were doing all sorts of stuff. Okay? No, she was literally being paid to do these things on a public website. So they weren't leaked. So the media is lying about that. They're trying to smooth it over for the Democrat. And then they make sure that they add with her husband because they want to make sure. So if you think it's leaked and it's with her husband, then you're like, oh, well, why does it matter? She's just doing things with her husband. Well, again, she's performing sex acts in the public for thousands of people and getting paid to do it. And now she's upset that her political opponents would actually be like, hey, this is kind of, you want to talk about lowering the bar for our public officials? This is really lowering the bar. And they're being completely dishonest. Now, what I said regarding this story was that we are on the trajectory. We are going to reach the point where this is a selling point. You will, in the future, have people essentially that will be like, yeah, why does this matter? Why can't I do this in my spare time with my husband? I guarantee you, there are districts in San Francisco and New York City, in Los Angeles, in Philadelphia, in Chicago, where you would be able to do the cam quote unquote work. They call it work. You would be able to do cam stuff and be an elected official at least at the state level, and your constituency would be all about it. So again, you just keep lowering the bar and lowering the bar. And now somebody in the chat, not so much my chat per se, but maybe someone right now is thinking, Doug, why do you care about this? Now, here's the thing. I feel like if there's just random 21-year-old women, like I don't think women should be doing this anyway. But if a random 21-year-old woman wants to be on a cam or OnlyFans or whatever, that's on her. That's her life, whatever. But I feel like if you want to run for public office, the bar should be higher than that. Like there really should be a higher bar. You should at least strive to not, I'm trying to keep this as clean as possible, but I can't even say the things that I want to say. But it's clear enough that we don't want to see you with a bunch of other dudes getting literally manhandled nude on OnlyFans if you are a public official. Can we at least raise the bar to that level where you're not getting manhandled for essentially the OnlyFans version of Super Chats or something along those lines? Can we at least raise the bar that much? But I think we're going down a very dark road. So I guess I will briefly go to something positive, is that Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini will soon, their action figures for Common America will be done in the near future. And I believe that with the next year's, I think it's with next year's campaign, but I'm not 100% sure on this. They could say, but I believe that they will be offered with next year's campaign. But they are looking snazzy and quality. So that is good. All right. So, CIA. I just keep going down the list. It's already been an hour, and I'm able to keep going here. So here's the deal. CIA tried to pay off analysts to bury findings that COVID lab leak was likely. Whistleblower. And my response was to all the people out there who tried to make me seem like a lunatic for saying the bioweapons lab down the street from where the virus broke out was far more likely to be its origin than a guy who was eating boiled bat soup. It's time to look in the mirror and reflect, because it is. So if you remember correctly, back in the day, if you pushed back against the idea that people making boiled bat soup were the cause of the virus, Twitter was banning people. They were throttling accounts. They were literally banning people. You were gone. If you pushed back in the wrong way on the Wuhan lab leak stuff, I had to twist myself in intellectual pretzels and rhetorical pretzels, oratory pretzels, to say the things that I wanted to say. And it didn't matter because they still throttled my account anyway. My account was healthy for about 10 days when Elon first took over Twitter, and now it is seriously throttled because there's a guy named Ray who was at the Capitol a few years ago, and I started to make fun of Ray, and my account was throttled in a second. And my Twitter account is in a serious social media silo that it is very difficult to get out of, because I say the wrong things. And I said the wrong things about Ray. And I say the wrong things about the CIA and Ray. That'll get your account throttled in a hurry. But yeah, so again, back in the day, if you talked about a certain laptop from a guy named Hunter and you didn't call it Russian disinformation, your account was throttled. You were banned by Twitter, now X. And so time and time again, the people that were actually trying to tell you the truth, their message was suppressed. They were throttled. They were booted off the platform. And it's still that way. What's weird about Elon Musk is that, like, one moment he's saying, like, and actually doing the right things, and then in the next moment, he's empowering people that will just, like, throttle your account because you, I don't know, like, said the wrong things that are actually kind of the right things. And so I don't really get Elon, aside from the fact that he seems to be attracted to liberal women. And for some reason, he attracts liberal women into his life, and then he seems to impregnate them. And I don't know. So, like, maybe it's very weird. So yeah, Elon, if you're upset with the way things are going, why do you keep putting women in positions of power who do the things that you don't like? And why do you keep impregnating liberal women? I don't understand. So yeah, it's very odd. Let's see. So here's the Elon Musk thing. So Elon is being attacked by Jake Tapper and the media and all of these people because they wanted him to allow Starlink to be accessible all the way up to Russia's ports, when he wanted Starlink to be used for defensive purposes, for, Red Cross type of things, emergencies where you got to get, there's fighting and there's personnel that need to be, like, taken from the war zone or those sorts of things. And apparently they wanted offensive capabilities with Starlink that, again, he would be the fall guy. If things spun out of control because there was a drone bombing at a Russian port, Elon would be the guy that they would throw under the bus in a heartbeat. Or they would focus, the world governments, particularly the US government and people like Jake Tapper, they would be focusing. Why did Elon Musk? Why did he allow Starlink to be used for this? Oh, no, it's all. So Elon was like, hey, I have boundaries with my technology. I don't want you to use them for offensive capabilities because I don't want to be the one who is blamed for kicking off World War III. If you guys want to kick off World War III in your own bizarre ways, fine, go ahead, do it, but do not get me involved in a way where I can be the fall guy. I do not want to be thrown under the bus, and then you run over me, and then you back up over me, and then you run over me, and then you back up, and then you start doing donuts on my corpse. I don't want that. I'm not going to allow that to happen. And so Jake Tapper is really upset with that. And he's talking about how maybe there should be repercussions for Elon Musk. These people are really upset that Elon is not 100% on board with what they want. Now, Elon, here's the thing, is Elon said he voted for Democrats all the way, like his entire life, and now for the first time, he's not. So Elon is not he's not, people want to say that he's conservative. He's not conservative. He's just not like a hardcore left-wing ideologue. So it's weird. It's like he doesn't like the quote-unquote woke stuff, but he's not necessarily quote-unquote, he isn't. He literally isn't conservative. So that's a whole other can of worms, but let's see here. Let's see if I could finally find the scientist story that I've been looking for that I keep passing up. I probably have passed it up like 10 times. Oh, here we go. Finally. All right. So scientists grow whole model human embryo without sperm or egg. Very interesting. And so here's the thing with this. Anytime you see stories like this, where they're just creating some human-like thing that it could technically, maybe if they did the right things, grow into a human, but you totally went about it in like Twilight Zone ways. Anytime you hear the public story that this is getting out, you have to know that this would not be public unless they've already been able to like do stuff like this and they've been like looking into it for a long time. There's all sorts of private stuff that you don't know about that is going on. Scientists, a lot of times, they don't even care about the ethics, especially if you live if you're in a country like China. A lot of people think that if you grew up in the United States, which is marinated in sort of like Christian values for literally generations and generations and generations and all this sort of stuff, where you try and think about, like, is this ethical? Should we be doing this? What are the ramifications for doing this? Nah, there's a lot of countries where they don't care. They only care about whether they can do it. And that's all they care about. Off topic, is the president Catholic in the soul finding universe? And how much is he aware of their existence? Maybe we might explore that someday, JJ. Actually, the funny thing is I will be exploring politics in a standalone Detective Chua tale that involves a political dynasty. So maybe we'll get into that. We shall see. But all right, so here's the thing. Whenever you see stories like this, again, realize that there's all sorts of private experiments going on at military installations that are, I think I put it here, have record-breaking heebie-jeebie scores. Things that would just totally creep you out. They're going on. Again, you want to talk about the CIA, the COVID, how they tried to cover that up. There you go. That's bioweapons right there. They literally did not want people to know that they were exploring, speaking about the math and science exploratory school in New York City, they did not want people to know that there were militaristic explorations going on into various bioweapons and things like that. And it makes me sad because whenever I think about stuff like this, I think about the worst case application about the technology. And I think about what is the doomsday weaponization of this technology? Because once you think about that, you have to know that there's already somebody working on it. And sometimes I want to actually talk about the doomsday applications of various technologies, but I can't because I don't want that level of evil being spoken into the world, because I don't want it to be out there, because maybe there's a slim possibility that for some reason maybe it isn't out into the world. Maybe somebody didn't consider it. I don't know. But so it's one of these things where just privately think about these things and think about the darkest. Well, actually, I shouldn't tell you to think about the dark, but just know that the darkest possible theories that you could come up with regarding all of these things, there are people that are working on it, because they want, if you know anything about DARPA and the US government, and I'm fascinated by DARPA, but what they want to do is create groundbreaking technologies that will give the United States an edge for generations in terms of military stuff and security and national defense and all of that. And actually, Soulfinder Volume 5, I just had a question about Soulfinder earlier. Soulfinder Volume 5 is about that, about the quest for game-changing national defense technology or information or all of that sort of stuff during the Cold War, and the pressure that was put on nuclear submariners to get intelligence that would put the United States far beyond the Soviet Union and give the United States second strike capability. So like I was saying earlier, Soulfinder Volume 5, Alejandro Mirabal has already turned in art. It's awesome. At first it was, I was like, it'll probably be a bonus. It'll be bonus art. And now I look at the cover, I'm like, actually, I think it's going to be a cover because it's really awesome and it's really cool. And I can't wait to show it to people. So yeah. Let's see. This is probably a good way to close out the stream. A little depressing, but just you want to have an accurate read on reality. You want to see things as they are. You don't want to see things either too optimistically or too pessimistically. You want to see things as they are, because once you see things as they are, then you could react in a way where you can figure out the best possible scenario and lead yourself to that. So, St. Anthony the Great. A time is coming when men will go mad. And when they see someone who is not mad, they will attack him, saying, "You are mad. You are not like us." And then they'll probably stone you or do the equivalent of the stoning. Or they'll try and get your Twitter X account throttled. Or they'll try and get you thrown off, social media and all this sort of stuff. So we are in that time. Or if we're not in that time right now, we're basically. Oh, actually, I did a video on YouTube recently about being in the vestibule of civil war. And so check that out. There was some guy in the comments section that was just like, civil war is overused and blah, 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 blah. And it wouldn't. And I was like, yeah, okay, but I didn't misuse it. The vestibule is a very specific area that we're talking about. I didn't say that we're in a civil war. I didn't say that it's going to happen tomorrow. I'm saying you're in the vestibule. And what a civil war would look like in 2023 is not the same as what a civil war would necessarily look like in the 1800s. It would obviously look different. How it would, if you want to talk about evil flowers, how this evil flower would bloom would be different than it was back in the day. But we are in the vestibule of bad days, strange days, bad days, people, Americans who want to rip each other's throats out because they disagree on very big issues. And you have some people like the New Mexico governor that literally want to suspend the U.S. Constitution whenever she sees fit. Anytime she thinks it's a quote unquote emergency, she wants to be able to suspend the Constitution. Anytime, pay very close attention to anybody who says, who talks about emergencies and having to suspend the normal order of things, and because the threshold for what constitutes an emergency keeps getting rolled back, dialed back. It's easier and easier and easier and easier. Everything's an emergency. Why is everything an emergency? Because it allows people who are either tyrants or want to be tyrants to do the things that they want to do. And a lot of people, again, you keep dumbing down the population, they'll just be like, okay, well, that sounds like a good idea to me. It's an emergency. And then they'll just go along with it. No, you're setting up future generations for dark days. Seriously, dark days where the boots are on your neck, they're on your throat, and there's pressure building in your brains because your jugular is being stepped on. I could go on and on and on. But anyway, I should, again, end on a positive note. So let's go back to, come on, let's go. I didn't talk about 9/11. I might do a video on 9/11. I know it's past 9/11, but all right, here we go. Tim and Mark, once again, congratulations on rocking it with your Volume 8 Common America campaign fulfillment and delivery. Thank you to everybody at Iconic Comics down in Texas who's in charge of the distribution, the fulfillment, and getting all that stuff done. You know who you are, the guys and gals. Appreciate it. Speaking of appreciating things, Matt, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Neostar Productions, RPX, and everybody else that tuned in, Paul's NYC, Captain Cummings, and all the people in the beginning, Edwin, JJ, Rob, Eric, and anybody else I missed along the way. There's a lot of comments going on. Appreciate it. I'll be back in the near future. Actually, I might be doing a live stream. I don't know if I should say this, but I probably, you know what? I'm just going to say it. I will probably be doing a stream with Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini and maybe Eric Canetti in the near future, very near future. We're trying to put that together. We shall see. So stay tuned. There's some really cool things that we want to talk about. So be on the lookout for the announcement of a live stream that will feature myself, Timothy Lim, Mark Pellegrini for sure. I haven't talked to Eric Canetti, so I probably shouldn't have said Eric too, but I think we should be able to get Eric. But if not, the news applies to him as well. So anyway, there will be a stream in the near future. There's lots of cool stuff that's just over the horizon, especially next week. I will be doing a show next week on the West Coast. I don't want to say exactly where it is yet, but if I do a live stream with Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini, I will say where the convention is, where the show is. But it is on the West Coast, and I can't wait. I got my plane ticket. The books are where they need to be, ready to go. And so you will see Iconic Comics at a show on the West Coast in the very near future. And I'll let you know, because somebody, whether it's here or on Twitter, is probably close enough to want to go. And if you show up, I'll probably give you something for free for showing up in person if you follow me on the streams or on Twitter. All right. Thanks again for everything, and I'll see you guys later. See ya.